Just about 500 years ago, a Dutch woman named Anna Jantz joined a radical movement of Anabaptists committed to living out their discipleship-driven faith and refraining from the use of violence in times when doing so led to great suffering and even death. On January 23rd, 1539, Anna herself was sentenced to death by drowning. As she prepared to die, she wrote a letter to her son, expressing the core tenets of her faith: care for the poor and the marginalized, and a steadfast commitment to following Jesus. With this in mind, with the story of Anna Jantz, the early Anabaptists, and the power of their faith, I want to tell you a second story, a story about Bethel College and its tragic unwillingness to walk the way of peace. Bethel College is a small liberal arts college in North Newton, Kansas, founded by Mennonites in 1887. Its uniqueness and identity are tied to its foundational Mennonite roots and values, including nonviolence, justice for the marginalized, and free and critical thought. These values are evident throughout the college. For example, Bethel's written values include, quote, creative approaches to living harmoniously within a constantly changing world, end quote. Bethel is also affiliated with the Kansas Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution, or KIPCOR, located on its campus, which has, for decades, been committed to nonviolent resolution of conflict. Bethel also offers many courses on topics of peace building and nonviolence. Even this very oratorical contest is a testament to Bethel's Mennonite roots and values. Last fall, however, Bethel College decided to invite lethally armed city police to freely patrol public spaces on its campus, including within buildings. It did so without notification, and when students realized and asked the reason for this change, safety became the institution's #1 answer. Statistically, there was no significant increase in violent crime, and Bethel did not say that there was. Rather, it claimed that the types of nonviolent misbehavior found at Bethel and other college campuses for generations, including marijuana use or exploring campus catwalks, now merited an immediate police presence in the form of campus patrols. Bethel chose to accept a premise prevalent across the United States that says that the presence of police is generally beneficial and even necessary for, quote, peace and safety. The pervasiveness of this claim is attested to by the fact that, according to the Vera Institute, someone is arrested in this country every 3 seconds. 1 of every 2 black men are arrested at least once before age 23. In 2020, police budgets across the nation added up to a total of $115 billion. As a default solution to a broad range of safety concerns, as much as 80% of arrests in a given year are for non-violent, non-serious charges. In a country that is over-policed, Bethel chose the easy way, the path of least resistance, when it turned to police patrols as a front line for protecting itself and its students. Now, the problem with this is that the system of U.S. policing fundamentally conflicts with the very core of what it means to be an institution rooted in Mennonite values and community. From its origins as a slave patrol, the system of U.S. policing is built on violence. Police academies, which graduate every police officer in the United States, including those in the North Newton Police Department, teach cadets that they live in a violent world and should respond in kind. That's according to Dr. Samantha J. Simon, an expert on police who in 2018 participated in and observed 4 major police academies. Violence was at the core of their trainings. Quote, cadets' bodies are physically conditioned to assume that everyone is armed, to act swiftly and decisively, and to shoot as soon as they perceive a deadly threat. End quote. Cadets are taught that there is a war on police and that they are seen and targeted as an enemy by the general public. They are told not to hesitate, to use violence to protect themselves. According to ABC News in 2023, many police academies resemble military boot cuts. Quote, with cadets in buzz cuts and hair buns getting yelled at by drill instructors. End quote. Police departments across the country are equipped with military-grade equipment. According to the ACLU, in 2021, state and local law enforcement possessed more than 60,000 military-grade rifles and machine gun parts and bayonets. The police car used to patrol this very campus is equipped with a shotgun and an AR assault rifle within arm's reach of the driving officer. When Bethel chose to invite lethally armed city police to patrol its campus with the excuse of ensuring safety, it bought into the logic and accepted the violent system of U.S. policing beyond necessary emergency response. It chose to make it a default method for community safety. In making this choice, what became more important than its values? Was it time, convenience, or attractiveness to certain populations? Was it out of fear? Maybe it hoped that in distancing itself from its own identity, it would increase enrollment. Whatever it was, Bethel ran into the hard truth that peace has a cost. And it decided that it would rather not pay that price. Instead, it was willing to ignore and set aside its values and identity to prioritize the values and methods of a violent and vengeful world as it caved to the temptations of ease and vanity. While it may seem that that is the end of the story, the good news is that it is not too late for us to do the right thing. We must continue to ask, what if Bethel were to choose a different path? It could strengthen its identity. It could take a step towards freeing itself from the shackles of conformity, convenience, and a violent status quo. It could invest in creative, nonviolent methods of security that are both more effective and ethical than having lethally armed city police patrolling its campus. Bethel College is shaped and sustained by Mennonite values and traditions. As Anabaptists, we live in an interconnected and interdependent world, community. Bethel College does not exist on an island. What it does impacts the broader Mennonite community, which then also influences Bethel College. We all have power and a voice, and we must speak up against this dangerous threat to the very core of who we are. Bethel can choose the easy way and be well adjusted to this society, or it can choose to be maladjusted and walk the way of peace. I hope we have the wisdom to listen to the words of our religious ancestor Anna Jantz, who instructs us to, quote, not regard the great number, nor walk in their ways. Wherever you hear of a poor, simple cast-off flock, which is despised and rejected by the world, join them. For where you hear of the cross, there is Christ. May it be so here at Bethel College. Thank you.